Now we are going to paint your pieces. This is probably my favorite part of the whole earring making process is the painting. So on a lot of my designs, I have a lot of engraving so that you can get creative and add your own style to it. So when you first get your kit, you'll notice you'll have some paint pens in there. I'm going to use today, I've got a collection of purple and pink here, but I'm going to show you how we can get blending, get creative, and you can use your paint pens to the fullest. First up, we've got to shake our paint pens and get them ready so that the ink is flowing very freely. Now, what I like to do is start with a toothpick and open these up. So these have a plastic coating on them just to protect it, and I like to just stick that in there and get the wrapping off. Alright, so we'll pop that to the side. So with our paint pen, we're going to want to shake it first, take off the lid, and see it's got a white tip. So with the white tip, we're going to want to make that change to this beautiful fuchsia color. I do that by pressing down the nib until it starts to change color. This may take a little while. Now that the paint's running freely, you can test out the color and see what you can do with it. So the next step is we are going to paint in some of the engraving. So I've peeled this piece on the back and I'm going to turn it over and we are going to start painting. So now we're going to start by placing some dark color in here in this detail and some lighter around the edge, and we'll blend it all together. So the engraving here is really good for keeping the paint on there for a very long time. So when the acrylic is engraved, it creates a porous surface on the acrylic so that the paint sticks really well. So it's kind of like colouring in when you're getting to this part. Colouring in, and you don't need to stay in between the lines, which is perfect. You can go outside the lines. And you don't need to be that precise. Your main aim is to get into all of the engraved detail and to make it look beautiful along the way. So I'm going to go into all these little tips here, and this is where we're going to start blending. So I'm going to blend with a white pen today. So I'll move that one out of the way. And what we want to do is I'm going to start white around the edges here and then work in after I've got a good white color coverage around the edge. Now this white and fuchsia together can make many different colors. So you'll have some fun doing it in your own way, depending on what colors you have. Now if you've got multiple kits, you can use multiple different paint pens together in one drawing. Sorry, in one pair of earrings, I should say. It does create a nice little drawing actually. So you can see here how I'm starting now to pick up some of that fuchsia color, and it's coming out a bit more pink. So it's like we had a light pink pen here. So when you're doing this, you just want to create little tiny circles, very tiny, when you're doing this. Kind of just blending that color out. I really love these two colors together in particular. They look great. Now we're probably going to have to add some more fuchsia in there to blend that a bit better. Create a bit darker tones. But how good is this looking? So I could lose myself in painting all day long. I absolutely love it. And I hope you enjoy it too. So now I'm just blending this into the top of my flower. Now, whatever shape you are painting, whatever detail of the engraving you are painting, remember to add your own style to it. What do you like? Add colors that you'd wear. These pairs of earrings are for you. How are they going to match into your wardrobe? So some of these pieces have engraving around the edge. So I'm just finishing this up and just making sure I get all around the edge. Excellent. Now we're done doing that part, so we're going to set that aside for a moment and let it dry. We want to wait about 10 to 15 minutes so that the paint is completely dry so that we can start peeling off the paper. And the paper comes off like a stencil, so it's pretty cool. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you about wood pieces. So there's not many of the kits that have wooden pieces in, but if they do, what we're going to do is we're not going to worry about painting them. They look so much better not painted. So all we do for these is just to peel them. So with the wood, we can just peel it. If we were to paint it, the paint will sort of bleed throughout the wood grain, and it doesn't give a very good finish. So if you did peel off your paper before you started painting, it's totally fine. I've got you covered. What we're going to do is you're just going to paint over the acrylic piece. Make sure it's an acrylic and not a wood. And just cover all the engraved surfaces. Let that dry for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once it's dry, we're just going to grab a baby wipe or a wet cloth and we are going to start cleaning it off. Now how I do it is I get a thin layer of this and kind of just start cleaning. So it's sort of like a little bit of a light scratch as we're going over. And you can see it's starting to take off the paint from the shiny part of the acrylic, but not from the engraved surface. The perfect desired effect. So you can see that's cleaning up really, really nicely. So it's no worries if you've either peeled off your paper first or you have made a little bit of a mess as you were doing it and you didn't quite like the way it turned out. So just go over it again. You can probably go over it 3 or 4 times before it starts to get too much paint on there. But yeah, each time just wait for the paint to dry and then just clean it off. Really simple. So this one has enough time to dry now. So we're going to start peeling. So you can see there, the paint only sticks to the engraved surface and peels off the rest of it and just leaves the engraving looking beautiful. There you go. Now I hope you enjoy painting all of your pieces, because that is going to be what adds your style to your earrings. So thank you very much for joining me for that part, and we'll move on to the next step now.